Hi, I'm going to walk you through taking street address information that's found in a list in an Excel file with a special format called comma separated value or CSV, and we're going to convert that into a format that mapping software likes, which is called latitude longitude. Mapping software does not generally want to work with addresses that are in text format, with street address typed out, and city, state, and zip code. It wants to actually convert that to X and Y or latitude longitude. That's what this process is going to show you. We're going to do it with ArcGIS Online. So to do this, I'm going to get started. I'm going to show you the data we're using. I'm going to double click on it. Notice it's got an Excel file format to it. And basically what I did is I created a file, and notice what I did there is I just clicked on this little triangle here, hovered over, and got a double arrow, and that resizes all my information in my file. It's really helpful if you ever open a file in Excel and you see all this, and you're like, I know there's more information there. You're talking hundreds of files, hundreds of records. Knowing this trick can really save some time. Just double click on that. You see I've got my business names here. I've got their street address, city, state, and zip. And that's how we're going to want to work with this information. When you set up an address file like this, this is how you should set it up. Keep it as clean as possible. No underscores, dashes, exclamation points, stars, anything up here. No quotes, no double quotes. Keep it clean. Down here you can see the business name, street address is in one field, cities in another, states in another, zip is in the last. This is how you want to format it. Okay, good. So I'm going to File, I'm going to Save As, just to show you the process. Browse, it's going to be in my M drive, and I'm going to save it to a comma separated value. This is how I did this. You can start with an Excel file, but you want to save it to CSV, comma separated value, and I'll show you what that means in a second. Click Save. It's going to say I already got it. I'm going to replace it. Sure, go ahead. It's going to ask me, Excel thinks it's being helpful to say, you sure you want to keep this? It's not an Excel format. Sure, save it. Click Yes. I'm going to close out of it now, and I'm just going to, it's been saved and it's all set to go. I want to show you something though. I've got Notepad open here, Notepad, or you could use TextPad on a Mac. I can actually click and drag this right in here, and you can see I can open it with a text editor. So I've got commas where all of the little lines or the field separators were in Excel. That's what a CSV is. It's just a text file. So I'm going to close out of this. Now I'm going to open ArcGIS Online. I'm already logged in here, so if you aren't already, go to hws.maps.arcgis.com, and you're going to click on the login that's over here in the upper right, username and password, and go to your My Content area. So once you get logged in, click on My Content, load up that page, and we're all set to go. So what I'm going to do is two ways to do it. You could do add item from the web, but I don't like to do it that way because I like to see it on a map right away to make sure things didn't go awry and one of my addresses is floating away out in the ocean, which does happen from time to time when you go geocoding. Software doesn't know what to do with sometimes the software doesn't know what to do with an address. It's wrong. It doesn't have it in the database. It doesn't know where it should go. But with these addresses, we won't run into that. But you can run into errors. So I want to see it on a map right away. So click on Create, and I'm going to create a map. I'm going to call it Geocode Demo Geneva. I'm going to grab my social justice tag here, and it's going to save in my Spring 16 folder. I have a lot of folders in here because I do a lot of work. If you just have it saved to your home folder, that's fine. That's great. That'll work too. Click OK. My map's going to open. It's going to default to the rest of the world. Kind of not helpful. Come up here to the Find Address by Place bar. We're going to type in here Geneva, New York. There's Geneva, New York. So now we're centered where we know our addresses to be. That's helpful, so you can see them right away. So I'm going to do is click on Add. I'm going to come up here now to the toolbar. We're going to add. We're not going to search for layers or browse living atlas layers. We're going to go add, and we're going to add a layer from a file that we've created. So it's the fourth choice on this. So add layer from file. Okay, the layer from file dialog is going to come up. You can see some different things that this software will take. I won't talk about shapefile. We're going to work with CSV and text file. showed you the CSV where I made it, Excel. I saved it to a special format called comma separated value, which really takes, all it does is replaces the nice field separator lines that Excel uses and puts a comma in its place. Okay, so I'm going to choose that file, and I'm going to go find it. I'm going to go to my M drive here, and I'm going to do selected Geneva businesses and click open. And it reads the name .csv, and we're ready to go. So click import layer, and when we import the layer, we've got some options. ArcGIS Online is asking us, how do you want us to process this data? Does it have latitude and longitude? No. You can see we don't have latitude and longitude here. We want to click on address because that's what we're starting with. We're going to convert it to latitude and longitude, but we want to start with our address. You can use different databases to do this. So what you're doing is you're matching the text that's in your fields of your table against a known database that already has the location stored, and that's really all you're doing. You can use the world. It may not actually be accurate enough to find everything in Geneva. I think it would be in this case, but I'm going to click on world here so we can choose a different database to use. So you can see all the different countries you can actually geocode against. So if you have addresses in Norway, grab the Norway database. So I'm going to grab United States here. And you can see here now the software is saying, hey, let's make sure we've got all the fields matched. Business name, nothing we're going to do with that. We're not going to use this to geocode. It's just a name. Street address, though, is kind of important. Notice it says not used here. So we're going to click on this field and say, you know what? My street address, this is my data coming in here on the left. That's my field name. See, it says field name. It says, here's my data coming in on the left. What do you want to match your data on the left to our database? In this case, the database we're using is looking for the word street and not street address. That's the only difference. I could go back to the CSV and delete that address, that word address from the word street in that field, and I could not have to do this step, but it'll work. It's fine. So we were going to change our street address to street, and we're all set to go now. So we choose address, the database we want. We're going to run with the United States, or we can leave it world. And then we're going to say, in that case, the street address, we're going to make that our street. Once you've got it all set up, click Add Layer. You can see I've got my 10 different businesses that came in. It just chose them at random. It's using the business name field here from our table and color coding them. I like it. Looks cool. I'm going to click Done. You can change that later, however you want to work with it. And the last step I would say is you can see you've got your layer over here now. You can turn that on and off. I can look at its table. You can see the different there's 10 different businesses I geocoded. Again, hover over your layer in the table of contents. You get all kinds of options. To change what it looks like later, click the shapes. Go back to details to close that. The last thing I would recommend doing is clicking on the 3 ellipses here and save the layer. Just make a permanent save to your file. And I'm going to do selected Geneva businesses underscore RB for my initials. Give it a tag again, social justice. There we go. Social justice. And it's going to save again to my Spring 16 folder. Create that item. That permanently saves that layer in case you want to work with it later outside this map. And just make sure you got a copy of it. I'll show you where that went. Come up here to Home, go to My Content. And if I look in my Spring 16 folder now, and if I click on the modified field a couple times, I've got a lot of stuff going on here. It sorts everything I just did to the top, and you can see here's my selected Geneva businesses layer and the map that's in. So that's the steps. It starts with a CSV, make it sure it's clean, make sure you've got it formatted properly, and then make a map and add a CSV file to that map. Let me know if you have any questions or if anyone runs into any problems. Thanks. Have a good day.